This is Jilliana Ranicar-Breese, and I'm in Cartagena, and I have the pleasure of having met Eleni Zohdi. Did I get that right? Zohdi, yes. In fact, Zohdi is an Iranian name, but Eleni is Greek. She's from Kalamata, and we met in rather unusual circumstances, and I've discovered that she's a fashion designer working near Boston, and she's going to be giving a lecture next week in Cartagena. So, Eleni, tell me, you have a story which you call the Bracelet, which is basically your journey, how you became who you are. So, can you go ahead then and tell us about the bracelet?
Okay. Well, I was born in Greece, and as long as I can remember, I drew pictures of fashion things, and the minute I knew how to handle the pencil, I started doing that. So as I my parents left from Kalamata, we moved to Athens. Then I finished and graduated a 4-year fashion design school in Athens, and then after that my parents moved to...
You went to Paris as well?
Oh, Paris was later.
Right.
Paris was later, much later. Then when I finished my fashion school, I finished fashion school. Then when my parents moved to America, to United States, near Boston. And then I continued my career there. But how did I get there? Okay. When I was a little girl, probably less than 5 years old, that's when you can remember things, as far as I know, maybe 4. We were playing outside in the neighborhood, and there were no electronic games and things then, so we just played outside. And all the moms and the grandmoms and the yayas, and they will talk, and I happened to listen on something like one of the older ladies, the yayas, we call them yayas, they wear the kerchief, yes. And she said this in Greek, and I will say that and I'll translate. She says, "Μάθε τέχνη κι άστινε, κι αν πεινάσεις πιάστινε." So, learn a profession, because if you don't need it today, you might need it someday. It's like a bracelet. It's like you earn a bracelet when you learn a profession. So that stuck in my child mind, and it stayed there in the hypothalamus for many, many years. Later, when I went in Athens, I finished basic school, grammar school, and then in my culture, the girls were not encouraged to go for further education, just the boys.
You had to become a housewife.
Yes, I had to learn. I was supposed to learn how to cook, how to clean, so someday when I get a husband, he doesn't say to my mother, "You didn't teach her good."
That's right.
So as I'm waiting my fate, one day, my mother goes to the market, and she decided to cook fish that day. So she buys the fish, and there, the way they wrap the fish, they take an old newspaper, they wrap your fish, and you go home to cook it and clean it. So she comes home with the fish, and she unwraps that paper, old smelly fishy newspaper.
And what does the newspaper say?
And I take it, and I was reading, and smack in the middle was this big ad that was talking about a fashion school in Athens that was accepting students. The only thing you had to do was to pass a test, and you get your 4-year education.
Wow.
With free books, everything.
Wow.
So I don't know how I convinced my mother. We go to Athens, we change a couple of buses to go there.
How old were you at the time?
I was after maybe 15 or something.
Okay.
So we go, and the minute we got into this lobby of the school, I saw beautiful sketches from selected students, all framed, all around the lobby of the school. And guess what happened? The story that I heard from the old yaya in the village, it came out. And it said to me inside my head, it said, Eleni, this is the place where you're going to get your bracelet.
So you had an epiphany.
That's right. As a young person as I was.
Yeah,
So I passed, I went. Out of 47 entrants, only 17 graduated. It was a very tough school. So upon graduation, my parents decided to immigrate to the United States to meet more family that we had there. I'm in Cartagena, so it's there.
Yeah,
So,
which part of America?
In Boston, near Boston,
Okay.
north of Boston.
So that's in fact...
Lowell, Massachusetts, yes.
Yeah, that's a Greek community.
Yes, it is, yes.
Yeah.
So, and then I started working in the factory. I kind of learned the American way, and I kind of interconnected the two from the two different types of professional sewing and all that. So I kind of married them together, and I ended up having a shop, my own shop, design shop, in 1979.
Where?
In Lowell, Massachusetts. I still do. I still have.
You still have the shop?
Yes. And later...
Can you say that name a bit more clearly?
Eleni's Fashions and Tailoring.
And what's the name of this town?
Lowell, Massachusetts.
Lowell, Lowell.
Yes.
Okay. How far is that from Boston?
It's about 40 minutes.
And
north.
is that where you live as well?
That's where I live now.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that, what kind of a town is that?
It's
Kind of arty, or?
it's a artsy town. I live right in smack in the middle of the arts district.
Oh.
In an arts building where artists live, and we have a building gallery, and we have shows, and it's a very cool place to live.
Oh, sounds lovely. And
Yes.
what's the population?
It's about 100,000.
Okay, and how long? So you've lived there
I
many,
lived there
many years?
many years, yes.
Most
yes.
of your life, in fact.
Most of my life is in America than in Greece.
Wonderful.
So going back to the bracelet story, so
Yeah.
I did that, but it didn't dawn on me the time that came that I will need that bracelet. Remember the old yaya say, today you made no need it, you put it away. Someday, well, things didn't work in life like everybody, like most of people. If something doesn't work, you have to
Do
have
something else
yes.
that works.
Yes. So it came time for me that it was necessary to bring up my kids alone, my two boys. So of course this is symbolic. It was not a real bracelet. I said, okay, time to get the bracelet out. So I started my shop. That's how I started my shop. But later on, that I was, of course, learning English
Excuse
better.
me, the shop was just your design?
Mine, yes.
Yes. You weren't having other people's
No.
owning. Oh,
The Greek out of me came out.
The best.
It's because of you, because you speak
I
Greek.
speak Greek,
Yes.
yes.
So
They're
anyway,
Rosie.
but the way I want to tell you how that started.
Okay,
is-
no. Let me stop you there, and we're in part 2. You can tell
part
me
two,
about
okay.
it. All right. Thank you, Eleni. I look forward to the second part.